Hi, thank you for watching Digging into China. I'm Dong Sheng. If you have not done so already, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. Over the past few days, the most significant political development in China has been the discontinuation of a long-standing political tradition lasting over 30 years, the Premier's press conference during the annual two sessions. Concurrently, the length of this legislative session has been cut in half, sparking widespread attention and discussion among international mainstream media. During March 5th press conference, Li Qiang, the spokesperson for the 14th National People's Congress, briefed the media on relevant matters. He mentioned that the agenda for this session comprises a total of 7 items. The first item on the agenda is the review of the government work report, which is presented by the State Council. The second item on the agenda involves reviewing the implementation of the National Economic and Social Development Plan, along with the report on the draft of the 2024 National Economic and Social Development Plan. This report is presented by the National Development and Reform Commission, NDRC. The third item revolves reviewing the execution of local budgets and the report on the draft of the central and the local budgets. This report is presented by the Ministry of Finance. The fourth agenda item involves deliberating on the draft law on organization of the State Council proposed by the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress. The fifth agenda item is a review of the work report of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress. The sixth agenda item is the review of the report from the Supreme People's Court. And the seventh agenda item involves deliberating on the report from the Supreme People's Procuratorate. Spokesperson Li Qiang highlighted that the 3 press conferences are scheduled during the session, featuring officials from State Council departments responsible for foreign affairs, the economy, and the people's livelihood. In response to inquiries about the absence of the Premier's press conference, Li Qiang explained that the government work report, budget report, and the National Development and the Reform Commission's report address key societal concerns. Essentially, all the Premier intends to convey is already covered in these reports, rendering a separate press conference redundant. This is the official clarification. The cancellation of the Premier's press conference, a practice in place for over 30 years and often regarded as the highlight of the two sessions, has caused considerable surprise. The decision has sparked extensive discussions in both Chinese public discourse and the international mainstream media, centering around 4 main aspects. The prevalent viewpoint among Chinese internet users suggests that the prolonged accumulation of public grievances has led to increasing skepticism whenever Premier Li Qiang addresses the public. In response to these growing doubts, the decision to cancel the press conference is seen as a way to mitigate this skepticism. Another perspective argues that the Premier Li Qiang's emphasis on China's commitment to further opening up contradicts the abrupt closure of the long-standing Premier's press conference. Critics contend that this incongruence not only questions Li Qiang's credibility but also challenges the consistency between the Chinese government's external messaging on openness and its actual actions. This perspective is notably highlighted in the discussions of some media outlets in Hong Kong and Macau. A third perspective originates from certain segments of China's intellectual community. During interviews with some experts and scholars by foreign media, a common point was raised. China's government has historically lacked transparency, and the Premier's press conference, albeit modest in its impact, was considered a step towards increased openness. The decision to cancel it is perceived as a regression, diminishing the limited transparency that already exists. From the standpoint of transparency, members of China's intellectual community express reservations and raise questions about the cancellation. The fourth category of commentary largely reflects perspectives of certain mainstream Western media outlets. They posit that the decision to cancel the Premier's press conference was made by Xi Jinping rather than Premier Li Qiang. According to these media sources, Xi Jinping's action of discontinuing the Premier's press conference conveys a clear message. The Premier's stature has diminished, signaling a shift away from the previous status associated with the position. In essence, Western media interprets this move as a consolidation of power by Xi Jinping. Here are my takeaways. Initially shocking, this news becomes less surprising upon calm reflection. Xi Jinping is currently implementing surgical reforms to reshape China's national political system, gradually eroding the authority of other high-ranking leaders. He is systematically consolidating power, resulting in the State Council's overall reduction in influence. Xi Jinping not only takes charges of numerous decisions within the State Council, but has also assembled a team to directly oversee them. For instance, he established the Economic and Fiscal Committee outside the State Council to personally manage economic affairs. Additionally, Xi Jinping's hands-on leadership of the Financial Committee demonstrates his direct involvement in financial matters. While Xi Jinping used to position himself as offering political and macro-level guidance, he now actively engages in specific management and operations. Given these changes, the diminished authority of the State Council and the discontinuation of the Premier's press conference appear less surprising. Following the 20th Party Congress, Xi Jinping appointed Li Qiang as the Premier, marking a departure from the roles as previous Chinese premiers. According to Xi Jinping, the current Premier functions more like an executive officer, serving as the deputy head of the working group under Xi Jinping's office. Notably, Li Qiang doesn't hold the position of group head, as Xi Jinping personally assumes all such roles. As the deputy head of the economic working group within Xi Jinping's office, Li Qiang holds a relatively lower status. Observations from news reports, body language, and party statements suggest that even figures like Cai Qi don't regard Li Qiang highly. Essentially, there's no clear second-in-command within the party and in the country. Everyone aside from Xi Jinping is essentially a staff member. Therefore, this move further solidifies our understanding of the new political system within the Chinese Communist Party post the 20th Party Congress. Secondly, Li Qiang appears to lack independent thoughts. His capacity for free expression has been restricted. He no longer embodies the conventional role of a premier, suggesting a departure from the traditional understanding of the position in China. Li Qiang represents a new type of premier, distinct from the conventional role. Even if he were to conduct a press conference, his speech wouldn't resemble that of Li Qiang, let alone echo the style of Wen Jiabao or Zhu Rongji. Xi Jinping has set very narrow boundaries for Li Qiang. What constraints has Xi Jinping placed on Li Qiang? It extends beyond the two sessions. These limitations are evident in various settings. Xi Jinping has outlined the principle of 3 speaks and 3 don't speaks for Li Qiang, permitting him to discuss only 3 topics. Firstly, the maintenance of 2 safeguards. Secondly, the establishment of 2 foundations. And thirdly, the pursuit of Chinese-style modernization. Li Qiang is confined to addressing these 3 subjects when delivering public speeches. What are the 3 subjects that Li Qiang is strictly prohibited from discussing? Topics that his predecessors could address but he cannot. Firstly, institutional reform is a forbidden area. Unlike previous government work reports that touches on institutional reform, the present reform is unrelated to the State Council. It falls under the purview of Chairman Xi's Deep Reform Committee. The State Council cannot delve into discussions on reform as it implies a desire for decentralization. Secondly, the rule of law in administration is off limits. Broaching this topic would inevitably spark debates within Chinese society regarding the supremacy of either law or the party. When the guidance comes from the party, discussing administrative rule of law becomes inappropriate. The third restricted subject is people's supervision. Unlike Li Qiang's predecessors, who emphasized the legitimacy of governance under people's authorization and supervision, Xi Jinping does not permit Li Qiang to discuss people's supervision. Li Qiang can only discuss party supervision. The concept of people's supervision implying accountability to the people is curtailed, and accountability is restricted to Xi Jinping alone. With the constraints of the 3 speaks and the 3 don't speaks, does Li Qiang really need to conduct the Premier's press conference? While he may not have the authority to decide on its continuation, Li Qiang likely harbors some satisfaction with Xi Jinping's prohibition. This aligns with the interests of a subordinate. By avoiding unnecessary complications, he ensures the security of his position. Given that Xi Jinping appointed him to this role, as long as he steers clear of trouble, there is little risk of demotion. The assertion that the cancellation of the Premier's press conference was not a voluntary decision by Li Qiang, but rather forcefully imposed by Xi Jinping is based on several factors. Firstly, altering a political tradition that has endured for over 30 years would require a level of courage that Li Qiang likely doesn't possess. Even with 10 times his courage, he wouldn't dare to propose such a change without Xi Jinping's approval, given the profound international impact. The Chinese Communist Party operates more on unwritten rules than formal legal structures. The Premier's press conference serves as a symbolic event during the 2 sessions, offering a somewhat transparent window for the international community to gain insights into China. Closing this window is certainly not within Li Qiang's purview without the explicit agreement of Xi Jinping. The assertion that Xi Jinping is taking the lead in this matter is based on recent trends. Noticeably, Xi Jinping, along with his core advisors, including individuals like Cai Qi and the Minister of the Propaganda Department, has been consistently highlighting a perspective. One country, one party, one leader. This underscores Xi Jinping's push for a renewed emphasis on personality cult. Since the 20th Party Congress, Xi Jinping has introduced the most forceful political slogan in China, emphasizing the notion of one country, one party, one leader. More and more individuals, including those praised Xi Jinping such as Li Hongzhong and especially Cai Qi, have been tirelessly promoting this idea within the party. The repeated message is clear. A country should only have one party, and within that party, there should be only one supreme leader. In this narrative, the significance of other individuals, including Li Qiang, diminishes. Nevertheless, this statement carries a highly reactionary and dangerous connotation. Xi Jinping's slogan, "One country, one party, one leader," closely mimics Hitler's infamous Nazi-era rallying cry, "On Volk, on Reich, on Führer." One people, one realm, one leader. Xi Jinping has audaciously taken inspiration from this historical slogan, albeit with modifications, boldly presenting his version as one country, one party, one leader. Hence, the banning of Li Qiang's press conference may appear as political gossip to some, but in truth, it reflects a well-considered political maneuver by Xi Jinping. This decision underscores Xi Jinping's strategic foresight, hinting at potential future steps, such as further diminishing the State Council's stature and ongoing power reductions. In addressing the prohibition of the Premier's press conference, Li Qiang is unlikely to be bothered by public opinion, ridicule, or mockery. Since the day he assumed the role of Premier, he consciously diminished his own stature and downgraded the State Council. By amending the State Council's procedures, he clearly defined its role as aligning with the directives of the Party Central Committee, essentially positioning it as an executive arm of the party. Consequently, Li Qiang does not perceive himself in the conventional role of a premier. Therefore, concerns about his image are unnecessary. Li Qiang is expected to smoothly accept this practical reality. Fifthly, in addition to the prohibition of the Premier's press conference, the State Council's demotion is evident. And there is another notable absence, the traditional Central Military Commission, CMC. Before the 20th Party Congress, the role of the CMC vice chairman held significant prestige and respect. However, today, few can recall the name of any current vice chairman of the CMC. Zhang Youxia, who was Xi Jinping's childhood playmate, once considered influential in managing the military for Xi Jinping, has faced speculation and reduced public appearances since last year. As we look back from last year to now, can anyone recall the current vice chairman of the Central Military Commission? It appears that the CMC has become more of a symbolic presence. The downgrading is not limited to the State Council, but extends to various traditional power structures within the Chinese Communist Party, including the National People's Congress, the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, and the Procuratorate. However, amidst these general downgrades, there is one notable exception: Xi Jinping himself, who has elevated his own position and established a series of committees. His ambition is to directly oversee all aspects of China's affairs, signaling that Xi Jinping does not tolerate the existence of any authoritative institutions. In his perspective, there can only be one country, one party, one leader, an indivisible trinity of authority. Thank you for watching. Please leave a comment and subscribe to my channel. Just click the subscribe button right here. I'll see you again shortly. Until then, be well.